Welcome to the Author Studio at Book Expo America 2013 in New York City. We're sitting right now with Brett T. Robinson. He's written a book called Appletopia, Media Technology and the Religious Imagination of Steve Jobs. Brett, how you doing?
Good.
So what made you gravitate towards the subject of Steve Jobs?
Yeah, Jobs was fascinating to me because he married left brain and right brain. He was an artist and an engineer, and as someone who had worked in technology and taught technology courses at the university level, I thought, this guy really gets it. He gets both ends of the spectrum, and I think that's what made him so successful.
Well, it's one thing to come up with the idea of a personal computer. It's another thing to explain it and to sell it to the public, and not just in the United States, but worldwide. What was it? How was he able to put it all in layman's terms? How was he able to sell the product he created?
Jobs used a lot of metaphor to sell computers, and if you think of a typical desktop computer, you have folders and icons, and these very visual kind of shorthand images were helpful to the user to figure out what this computer did. And as the products evolved with the iPod and the iPad, you saw this intuitive simplicity come out in all of his products, and that really made them quite marketable.
Yeah, he spawned a monster in Apple, no doubt about it. What is the allure of Apple and all of its products?
Yeah, Apple really is more than technology. Apple's an entire mythology. It's a great story about a company started in a garage, taking on this behemoth IBM, spawning this cult of followers. And then the technology objects themselves, the products are beautiful and they're addictive. And Jobs had an intuitive sense about how to bring those two things together. So the story, the myth, and the man really together make Apple really fascinating.
Well, let's expound on that, the myth and the man. What is true and what is not true about Steve Jobs?
It's funny, when I was researching the book, the question of where did the Apple logo come from, where did the Apple name come from, came up quite a bit. And there are a number of different stories on it. Apple was once thought to be based on the Apple commune that Jobs had worked on as a 20-year-old. But there's a lot we know about Jobs now with Walter Isaacson's great book, and a lot that we still don't know. And that mystery really, I think, is part of his allure.
I want to read the title of the book one more time because I want to riff off the title to ask you the next question. Appletopia, Media Technology and the Religious Imagination of Steve Jobs. Why the word religious?
Yeah, well, Steve Jobs wasn't particularly religious. He had a lifelong interest in Zen Buddhism. Some people would call that a religion, some not, but he's really a product, like all of us, of his own beliefs, his own values, which a lot of them were drawn from things like Zen Buddhism. So the minimalism of his products and the ads themselves really reflect that aesthetic sensibility that comes from his beliefs. So in as much as we are all sort of products of our own religious belief systems, whether they be spiritual, Buddhist, or otherwise, those are the sorts of things that informed his sensibilities. You
yourself, Mac or PC?
Mac, all the way, yeah.
I got a PC.
Yeah, that's all right. We can duke it out later.
But I also have an iPod and I have an iPad. How many Apple products do you have?
Let's see, I have one of each, I guess. I have an iPad, an iPod, and a laptop, so got it all covered.
All right, changes in the media technology landscape so often result in a dramatic shift in popular religion. Take me there. Explain to me what you mean by that.
Well, I go all the way back to the printing press in the 1500s, and I look at the way that changing from a manuscript or an oral or written culture to a mass print culture really changed the religious landscape in Europe. The book changed the church. So we had the Protestant Reformation and all of these things that grew out of the printing press revolution. So we're living through a similar media technology revolution with digital technology. So the question for me that really drove the book was, what does a digital technology world do to religion and vice versa?
In the book, when you deal with Steve Jobs, do you treat him as this mythological figure, or do you show us some of the warts as well?
Oh, I try to demystify him a little bit, use some of his personal experiences and his life experiences to really pull out of these ads and these products and all these designs and things that he designed a real sense of who he was, not just from a biographical standpoint, but from an imaginative standpoint, which is really where the title comes from.
You mentioned the Walter Isaacson biography, that bestseller a couple of years ago came out. In your research, did you go to Apple? Did you talk to people who worked with Jobs? Did you talk to family members? Were you given cooperation?
No, I tried. In particular, because a lot of the book is about Apple's advertising, I reached out to TBWA Chiat and the ad agency, and they're very strict about releasing any of that. So the research in the book is mostly secondary sources. Planning a second book, though, that's kind of a follow-up to that, to look at how people that work in technology who have been trained in the liberal arts have applied that in their own career. So I think there's a lot more Steve Jobs out there for us to find.
You mentioned the manner in which they advertise. What is it about the way they do things, about the way they put out the message, that has people so attracted to Apple products?
Well, I think it's like the old cathedrals. Again, in medieval Europe, as a believer, you went into a cathedral and you didn't have to be literate. You could just look at these stained glass windows and statues and you would understand the belief system. So for Apple, it's much the same way. With technology, can be very intimidating. So Apple figured out a way to create images and ads that were very inviting, very mysterious, and they drew the reader in and gave them a sense that, hey, maybe this is something I could do, and there's something very beautiful about this product. So I think in that way it sort of fits into that whole religious imagination as well.
Is the book out? Is it available?
August 15th.
August 15th, and how can people find it and find out about it?
It'll be on the Baylor University Press site. It'll be available on Amazon and in Barnes & Noble. So
Do you have your own website?
Working on it, yeah.
Okay. See, I thought you'd have a website by now. You're a technological guy, right?
That's right.
Once again, the book is called Appletopia, Media Technology and the Religious Imagination of Steve Jobs, the author, Brent Robinson. Brent, thank you, and good luck with the book.
Thank you.